if you think about a North Star, there are a couple of things that really matter. So first, you need to be able to answer the simple question, your building's Europe's number one of X. What's your X?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the category you want to invent? That's one thing you need to be able to say. I said before, Europe's leading deep tech marketplace for capital and customers. That's our category. Who was the third person who crossed the Atlantic via plane? Many people don't know this, yeah? It was Amelia Earhart, but she was the first woman to cross the Atlantic by plane. She invented her own category. So the idea is you invent your own category that you can lead. This is one very, very important thing of a North Star. 2, you need to be able to say, why now? Why is this now the right time to build what you're doing? And the third thing is around your product. You need to be able to say very clearly the value proposition. So who's your customer? What's the business value you create? And then what are the features you're building? These are 3 elements of a very clear North Star.
I like that when a company has a very clear one, because then you know where all the actions need to be leading towards.
The most important thing to understand is you need to repeat your North Star over and over again. There's nothing more powerful. If you wake up your executive team in the middle of the night, they can all tell you the exact same North Star. Often, if you as a founder or entrepreneur, you think you know it and you have it clear in your mind, that does not necessarily mean the others see it. So you need to tell the North Star so often that you're personally bored with it. You can't hear it anymore. That's then the right amount of communication.
Is it possible to apply the same concept of a North Star in other type of business, not necessarily a tech startup?
Yeah, totally. So this was a surprise for me. I've written this book, which we have on the table, for scale-ups. You have product market fit and you turn this into a unicorn. That's the idea. Unicorn, i.e. a company with a high valuation and a very valuable company. You can apply these principles to early stage startups. I'm currently doing it, and as well to a certain degree to non-venture startups, but it's just less relevant. So for example, this category question is important for an investor. I want to invest in that category, in a leader. Ideally, we are creating a new category. If you're just creating another shoe shop, this is just not so important. But what is important is value proposition. Who is the customer? What's the value you create for the customer? And what exactly is your product?
That's a concept from Peter Thiel from 0 to 1, right? The category of 1, I think he calls it, where you are like monopoles. Well,
this is one interpretation of it, but Peter Thiel says literally, don't bring yourself in a world or in a position that the competition is irrelevant. You're so strong that the competition is irrelevant. This has something to do with category leadership. This is okay, but these are rare cases, right? And certainly a good thing to do, but you have often situations there, of course, competitors, and you want to beat competitors and want to be a leader in a category. But where it's a good observation, there is a relation. If you're inventing a new category, you often have in this category, this should not be so strongly competed for.
I think also, and Tim Ferriss, I don't know if you follow him, he mentioned something about that, like the category of 1. When he started, he was the one in his category. Now everyone has a podcast. In his time was the category.
So he's not the lead in it's impossible, right? This is the category is too broad, but I think at one point he said something, he's the leader in podcast for very performance and self-optimization oriented people. Yeah. So there's a certain subcategory which he wants to lead.
Yeah. There's an important thing also. I mean, I'm in the content creation sector, let's say, and the niche is very important. So it's always like, what's your niche, and become a leader of your niche.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how small your niche is, be the one in that niche, and then you can start expanding. But first you need to dominate that small niche.
Exactly. This is a very important principle. We're discussing this a lot with founders. Niche is good. Because you need a starting niche. Because in a starting niche, your customers are clear, the value you're creating is clear, your product is certainly often tailored to this niche. So often starting in a niche is great. And then, as you say, you can expand from there. If you're not able to define a niche that says something about you, then often you've not validated the idea enough and your product is not clear enough.
There was another concept that I like in your book, because you mentioned there were 4 organizational blocks. You mentioned there the North Star, the A+++ players, functional excellence, and growth capital. I'm very interested in the A+++ player. What does it mean, an A++? Normally call them just A player, but now it's with 3 pluses.
AAA, yeah. So this just means you want to work and create a team of literally the best possible players in your industry. Yeah. Now, the big challenge you have if you're building a company is there is operational pressure. We just see this here in our current company. I've seen this in N26. So for example, N26, we had the situation where customers were waiting for an hour if they didn't have access to their account. Imagine this. You have a problem with your account and you're waiting for an hour in the customer service line. This is a total fire. Yeah. What I learned in this critical moments, never ever lower the hiring bar. Even in that moment, you should, if you're under pressure and you have the feeling you don't have the right candidates, don't lower the hiring bar. Aim for this AAA team. And this means, of course, in different settings, different things. There's a certain reach you usually have in candidates depending on literally your position and everything. But if you're not really excited, it's not literally the best you can imagine, or at least you're really excited about the person, don't do it. Yeah.
If it's not a yes, then it's a no.
We're, for example, now in a situation, we have in 2 months a conference and we're understaffed. It's an easy situation to say, okay, look, I have a pipeline of 10 candidates. Let's just take the best. That's what often happening. You're building a pipeline of candidates and you just take the best of the pipeline. But sometimes the best of the pipeline is not good enough. In this situation to say, okay, no, I've hired for 3 weeks. I have this thing coming in 6 weeks. In that situation, say, no, we let the fire burn and then go back to square one and rebuild a hiring pipeline and then take a better candidate than we had before.
Wow. Yeah, that's very interesting to hear because I think I have made that mistake. I cannot find the right candidate, so I just take the best of what got.
You have in the pipeline.
Yeah.
And this almost always fires back. Yeah? I had situations where I did this, and then these were the candidates that sued us because we let them go due to lack of performance. It almost always fires back if you lower the hiring bar.
What if you cannot pay the ideal candidate?